For Pete's sake, man.
Welcome to a brand new episode of For Pete's Sake. I'm your host, Pete, joined alongside Ryan Gibbons, Trevor Klaus.
How you doing?
We got
Pretty
a
good.
big episode today, but first, something a little bit more important. Happy birthday, Pete.
Thank you.
23 years old there.
It's true. Same age as, or same number as Michael Jordan.
It's your Jordan year.
It is. Am I the first one at 23? I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys. Nothing better to do on my birthday than another episode of For Pete's Sake.
I'm just glad to be here with you today.
In this ungodly hot room.
Well, today we're going to talk Week 4 of the NFL, debate the top sports video games, and let you all know something that you should check out this week on HBO. But first, Gibbs, how about those lines?
Yeah, the Lions, it was a 34-30 loss, but many have called it a moral victory.
Is it possible to have a good loss? Because if that is possible, this felt like it for the Lions.
Like, this is the best I felt watching any Lions game ever as a fan.
We were talking before the show about the mistakes that they made. Obviously, those 5 fumbles combined in the third quarter. Of course,
from both teams.
That fumble at the goal line that was returned for a touchdown. But yet the Lions kind of bounced back. They didn't pull that typical Lions where you knew something like that was going to happen. They commit an error that you never see before, and then they kind of collapsed. They didn't collapse in this game. They hung with them until the very end and had the lead until the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes on our behalf in this game, and I think it was really a game that we should have won. And I think that was kind of surprising because going into this game, kind of already wrote it down as a loss, and I was just really surprised that we were able to hang around and even contain what is probably the best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, this is his first game, I believe, with no touchdown passes. I mean, he still threw for 300 yards.
First game in his career. I mean, I guess he couldn't beat us with his arm.
No, he
but
couldn't.
He found other ways to beat us with his legs, but
I didn't know Mahomes could run that well.
Neither did I.
I don't think he knew before that game.
There was some questionable play calling. Like, we could have won. They came down to 4th and 8 at the very end, and all we had to do was a stop. I think we only had a 2 or 3 man rush at that point.
That killed me. If they had gotten that stop, the NFL world would have been like, what the hell? Like, the Lions beat the Chiefs.
Like, the only undefeated teams, if I'm going off the top, are the Patriots,
the Chiefs,
and 49ers.
And it would have been the Lions instead of the Chiefs.
And that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we played a really good game. I love how we're going for the ball, just trying to punch the ball.
Oh, I noticed that too. Every single time they tackle, they're looking to punch the ball.
And it wasn't even just this game either. It's been all the games this season. We've really been going for the ball.
And you gotta give Patricia credit for that because he's obviously instilled that in the players. That's what you have to do. I remember the one play, Justin Coleman, where he let the guy get up.
He knew it was coming. Yeah.
And he punched it. And I was watching that play, I'm like, why aren't you downing him? Why aren't you touching him down? And then he got up and he just punched it out.
Coleman had a great game.
He was like our only healthy starter in the secondary.
I was going to say, we lost Mike Daniels didn't play, and Slay didn't play either. Arguably, 2 of our best or better players on defense, and we
lost Quandre Diggs in the first quarter, second quarter. And
it just blows my mind how we were able to, at least from a throwing standpoint, contain Mahomes.
Well, Stafford played a great game as well, what kind of the knock on him the past couple of years has been he hasn't been good in the big games.
Yeah, he doesn't show up in the big games.
But he showed up in this game, playing hurt of that hip injury. He played great. That run was painful to watch.
I swear to God, I fell in love with Stafford all over again.
Just on that run.
He's just had so many highs and lows over the course of his career here, and we've had so many setbacks in his game, just in this game alone, whether it was penalties or turnovers. And I think Stafford really emerged as a leader, with this particular team, and we'll see how that ends up playing out over the course of this season.
Well, he held us in there. He helped the Lions stay in the game. It's a tough one for me. Like I said, 34-34 loss, close game. I know we had a great game in terms of rushing from Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, no,
we
were finally able to get the ball moving in this game too, where we really haven't had that much of a rushing attack so far this year. So it was good to see Kerryon get the reps and the offensive line look good, and we were really able to manage the game from a time of possession standpoint too.
What are your thoughts on this game here, Trev?
Normally I'm the Lions pessimist on the board here, but they looked really good this week. It was I think the best Lions loss I've seen, like you said earlier. But I think I said that at the beginning of the year that I thought they would at least play really well against Kansas City. I think I even said they would beat them, which didn't come to pass.
It was a big prediction, though.
But they showed up this game, and fair play to them. This is easily the best they've looked all year. I thought they were lucky to get the results they got in the first 3 games. And
True.
even though this is a loss, this is the best game that we've played, minus some of the penalties and sort of.
Yeah. And like just to play devil's advocate here, like the officiating came into question a lot in this game. And
Always does.
there's a lot of
First the lines, man.
people are saying that still, regardless, there's a lot of good things that came out of this game, and it's a moral victory. But I still feel, to some extent, it's a loss, and we ultimately should have won this game, and we were in a place to win.
Which is part of the reason I'm not totally sold on this team yet. But I think what we're really going to find out about them will be in 2 weeks. You know, they got this bye week coming up. Green Bay is a team with the way we've played that we should theoretically take care of if we do our due diligence. I know it's in Lambeau, I want to say.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's an away game. I think that's the Monday night game, too, if
It
I'm not
is,
mistaken.
So if we come out that game as a total dud, then I think that says this is really just more of the same old Lions. But this loss felt to me almost like sort of a different old Lions. Like, they still found a way to lose, so they're still Lions,
Yeah.
but it wasn't in like
And like you're buying back into, this team's actually solid, too. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like I think there's definitely promise here. I don't want to get too optimistic yet, but this is probably in the last 3 or 4 seasons, I could say this is probably the most optimistic a game has made Lions fans.
Well, should we get into some of the officiating there that you mentioned? The big one, obviously, was that fumble that they took back 100 yards.
Yeah.
It
like,
definitely was a fumble.
There's no denying it was a fumble, but it was just weird because no one was running after the guy, and he wasn't really running 100% down the field. They didn't even show it on TV.
It was a weird play. It was a weird play to watch. I think ultimately they got it right. I thought it was a fumble, and he returned it. But like I said, it was just a weird play to watch. It's something that would only happen to the Lions. That's kind of like what Trev was alluding to before.
I mean, they teach you as a kid, as soon as you start playing football, play to the whistle. Mm-hmm. And there was never a whistle, which clearly, you must lose that bit of advice once you get to the NFL. But like you said, it's just you don't expect to see that. And I think they had a touchdown called off a few plays before that, too.
Yeah, they did. The Galladay
It was
catch.
like a catch. It wasn't a catch. And I think that was like a 50-50 call that could have went either way.
I was surprised because I believe, did they call it a touchdown on the field? I was surprised they decided to call it a non-touchdown because it looked like he never left his body. I saw it moving around, but it's that old saying just in terms of the NFL that you don't know what a catch is. And it's still, they try to clarify it this year.
Like,
I still don't know.
I've seen catches like that where, they rule them a catch, and I've seen other times where they don't. And, it just you hate to see it when it happens to your team, especially in a game like that, in a situation like that.
Well, then the last play that I can think of was the Hail Mary at the end of the game when it looked like Marvin Jones got tackled.
It was
and I know
blatantly tackled.
for most fans of the NFL, they're going to say, well, it's a Hail Mary. Why are you, looking to call pass interference in that play? And I'm sure if I was the other way around, if I was a Chiefs fan, I'd be like, yeah, it's a pass interference at the end of the game. But I would say they put the pass interference call in there for the last 2 minutes. So if you're the NFL, you have to know that can come up at some point. And I was
especially because this is the first year where
I was just
that's
more
a thing.
I was just more irritated that you didn't see like an under review thing just because that's supposed to be a rule. Like the old excuse of, well, it's a Hail Mary, they're not going to call it. That can't be the reason because you made this rule. You had to have known that was at least going to be a possibility.
And I think like some of the stuff that goes into that too is like the 2 other situations that happened with the fumble and the callback touchdown where it just kind of adds up to it as well.
The worst part was the NFL, I think, came out afterwards and said that they actually did look at the play, but didn't want to interfere with like the flow of the game or something like that. But the game was over.
What flow?
Like the game was over. At that point, there was nothing to do. Like they either review it or you don't, but nothing to do with the rest of the game because, like I said, the game was over. There's zeros on the clock. Either you put time back on the penalty, or it would be an untimed down, or the game's over. But don't tell me that the flow of the game was going to be interrupted. They didn't want to, ruin that.
It was
the end of the
already
game.
over.
And basically what they're saying by doing that, too, is that if it's the last play of the game and it's going to be the last play of the game, as long as you don't get caught, do whatever you want.
That's essentially what it was. And I'm sure the NFL would never come out and say this, but I'm sure, it's the Chiefs in the game. I'm sure.
Exactly.
Patrick Mahomes is the new face of the league.
I was on Twitter during the game, and every time Mahomes did anything, somebody like Bleacher Report or whoever would be tweeting like, "Oh, look at this fake by by Mahomes, and it's like the play only ended up going like 3 yards or something like that.
Well, everyone was talking about the hook and ladder play. They kind of really like that pitch by Kelsey.
Yeah.
If you look at that, like half a second later, his arm got hit. So which means he would have fumbled that ball in that lateral. So like it looked really cool, but I don't think it was like a really smart play because the guy was on him. If you watch replay, his arm comes right across him. So
it ended up working out for him. And
it did. It was a very cool play that you'd see from the Chiefs because they're a very innovative, really cool team to watch.
Yeah, and I don't think you're expecting Kelsey to flip it back to McCoy if you're the Lions.
Not much of a skill guy there.
Yeah.
And
so the Sean McCoy.
You guys were talking about the refs a little bit, and I think part of me wants to like blame it on the officials, but it's hard to because we had so many opportunities to end up to win this game.
I think majority of the time the officials did a good job. All the calls make. I was just more irritated at the end of the game, and that's not necessarily at the officials on the field. That's more of the NFL. The people in New York, they're supposed to be reviewing, the under
that
2 minutes
kind of play.
Exactly. That's I would say because in the real time, it's hard for the official to call a pass interference on a Hail Mary. They're not going to be able to see that, and they probably don't want to call it. They won't be the official that's responsible for it.
Yeah,
but you put the rule in there just for that one circumstance.
I got to say, even just going on video review as a whole, they need better camera angles for a lot of these because a lot of times you'll get something that needs to be reviewed and you just will never see the right angle.
And half the time it feels like they don't have that, down the goal line view.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have that rule in football where you just have to touch the white, you just have to get over the pylon, you have to have that camera there in order to see it.
Well, regardless of where the threshold is for scoring a touchdown or not, you'd think they would want to see exactly where.
There's just like so many bodies. You got to put like something inside the football to like GPS locate it.
Isn't it incredible in this day and age of all the technology that we have? We still have those like line judges coming in and marking where the football was, after the play was over.
That is one of the things that's crazy. Like there's got to be like some sort of human error there with everything.
How can they
had.
tell? Like the guy's coming in to mark a first down. It's like, oh yeah, he was 6 inches up this way. It's like why?
Things do come down to inches sometimes, and like a bad spot, like a spot that's not accurate can ultimately like change a game.
I just think it's amazing that we still have those guys doing
with all the technology.
Yeah, going with that too, like it's already implemented in other sports. Like we see with soccer, they have goal line technology, which you could implement in the exact same way in the NFL for touchdowns.
That's a good point.
So there's no excuse to not have it at this point.
I wonder if you could do something like that just in terms of like a first down, maybe some kind of laser or something. I just think it's when you watch, like I said, the officials marking where the ball is, like, there's some kind of human error in there. I can't believe
they can't be getting that right every single time.
I can't believe that's still the way that we're doing this. That we're still marking the ball that way. Wasn't it a couple years ago the guy had an index card? He's trying to measure if it was a first down or not, and he folded it up.
It's ridiculous.
So it's unbelievable they still do it that way. But we'll see. I doubt anything will change. But just a new technology, it's something for them to explore.
I'm sure if there is a rule that one day the Lions will somehow get screwed for it.
Well, for the rest of the NFL, as you mentioned before, there's only 3 remaining undefeated teams in the league. Those would be the Patriots, Chiefs, and the 49ers. Taking a look at the kind of the standings that we have through the quarter of the season so far, Patriots are obviously one of the top teams, number 1. In the AFC East, followed by the Bills, like we said last week, bit of a surprise there.
That was a close game.
They played really well against the Patriots, despite losing their quarterback.
Yeah, the more I think about them, I think, especially with the division they're in, I know they have New England, but they could be an AFC wildcard team.
They could. They had one more win than most other teams. I think they're third best team right now in the AFC behind Kansas City and New England, just in terms of record.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone sees them jumping New England at any point, but they play their cards right. They could be the 5th seed in the AFC.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kansas City is leading the AFC West. The Chargers and the Raiders both have 2 wins. I think the Raiders are one of those teams that we talked about all the time on Hard Knocks. Kind of forgotten about them since Antonio Brown left. They got 2 wins so far versus the Colts and the Broncos. But then, like I said, the Chargers also have 2 wins there. They beat the Dolphins. Lost to the Lions, though.
Yeah, I don't really.
There it is.
I don't really trust either of those teams. I would probably have slightly more faith in LA just to get to the playoffs.
They're really banged up. Like they're missing like 4 or 5 starters. It's going to be good that they get Gordon back too.
Exactly, get Melvin Gordon back. That should help them. But Eckler's been really good for them so far. And Gibby and I were talking about this before the episode. We were wondering how they're going to use Eckler now. because he's been so productive for him. He's essentially like a wide receiver playing running back, all the passes that he catches.
Yeah, they can throw him in the slot, use him in the screen game.
We're wondering, because it's hard to just, tell a guy's been so productive, you're sitting on the bench now. So I wonder if they're kind of use him like New Orleans did the last couple of years with Ingram and Kamara.
Kind of Sproles, yeah.
Yeah, to kind of put them both in there where you kind of have, Gordon as the runner.
The speed guy versus the bell cow.
Exactly. He can catch some passes too. Then you bring in Eckler for like a third down running routes for you. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But he's been very good for them. AFC North, you got the Browns and the Ravens up top. I know they played this week. Did you see the choke? The guy choked OBJ in the field after OBJ threw a punch.
Ref was looking right at him.
Nothing
happened.
I don't know how that's not a flag. Like, I know sometimes they can miss the punch or whatever and they review it. The guy's literally on the ground.
The thing is,
choking
the ref
him.
is right there. Like,
how do you not call
still
that?
on the replay, like the ref is like literally making eye contact.
What
He's
would be
right
the ref like? What's the ref thinking at that moment when he's watching that?
Probably like hates OBJ for some reason.
It's the watches.
Yeah, it's catching up to him now.
It should have been a penalty. Whenever you see a guy getting choked, I mean, you got to call that.
Yeah, that's true. And like we were just kind of talking about the AFC North too, and I think one of the biggest surprises is just how bad Pittsburgh is this year.
They got that win versus the Bengals. Those two teams.
Well, I mean,
you had guys playing in that for fantasy football, right?
Yeah, I had Juju, who's off to it. He's not having a good year as the number one. I think the Roethlisberger injury kind of adds into that a little bit too.
Sorry, you had to watch that game.
Yeah, it was rough, but there was one good thing that came out of it.
Was there?
Snoop Dogg in the Genesis halftime show.
What songs did he perform?
I don't even know. It's like some new song. There's like two other rappers
He still makes
in
new
it.
music?
Apparently. I think they just kind of threw his name on it. And
I'd love to see it. I didn't watch it, but if I had known Snoop Dogg was going on, maybe I checked it out.
You didn't really miss much.
This is sort of a teaser for later, but I know one of his newest songs is literally, it's in Madden 20, and it's actually called Madden 20.
Oh, man.
Maybe
that the
that
song?
was it. Yeah. Honestly, I think that was.
I have to go check it out now.
Yeah, he had his like youth football league, so a bunch of like little kids were in the video. Obviously, it's not live, but we kind of dissected that last week.
Yeah, they're still continuing them though. Do you know who the next week's is?
Got zero idea. I guess we'll have to find out.
The Lions are gonna be on
Monday
2 weeks,
night.
so we'll have to see who's there at halftime.
Maybe a
show.
little Eminem,
Kid
Detroit
Rock.
reference from Kid Rock.
Big Sean.
I'm about it.
Then the final division, the AFC, is obviously the AFC South. I feel like we really don't have to talk about this division because they're all 2-2, and I feel like no one knows anything about them. I don't think they know anything about them.
Yeah, honestly.
I'd still like the Texans.
I would too, but they lost to Carolina with
Yeah.
a backup quarterback. Like, what are they doing?
I mean, I don't really like anyone in this division, but I'd like the Texans more. Although the Colts actually, Brissett hasn't been as much of a transition from Luck as I thought it would be.
It's been pretty good.
So maybe they could surprise some people and pull that division out.
The NFC now, starting with the NFC East, Cowboys 3-1. Bad loss to the Saints about Drew Brees. I was surprised
that's a
they
game
lost.
I thought they were gonna win. I thought they were gonna be able to put points up on the board, and they just could never get a drive
I
going.
believe it was 12-10.
Yeah,
It's a tough one. I had Kamara, so I had to watch some of that game. It was a tough one to watch. A lot of those games early in prime time this year have been kind of duds. They haven't been very
not
high
a lot
scoring.
of scoring. Like the Monday night games, the Monday night schedule is not looking that great. Neither is the Thursday night.
What do you mean? The Bengals Steelers is such a thriller, man.
It's a rivalry game, but like not this year.
We're talking about Danny Dimes as well for the Giants. Back-to-back wins. I mean, versus really crappy opponents, but back-to-back wins for him.
Yeah, he's doing it without Barkley either, or
Yep.
Golden Tate for that matter.
Yeah.
Interesting to see when he gets him back this week, I believe, right?
Yeah, well, he gets Tate back this Sunday, and then
Saw him. He's on your fantasy team.
yeah, I had to pick him up because I'm desperate,
It's
man.
a big ad there.
I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you, right? Going back to him beating sort of poorer teams. He did look really good. I think he led a drive at the end of the Tampa game.
Yeah, I mean, you can still tell he's a rookie if I could speak.
Danny
But
Dimes.
He's throwing a couple picks in his last game, but at the end of the game, he got the job done.
He just looks like Eli. When
They,
he's out
they
there.
look like too much in common. Did you see him walking into the stadium with like his khaki pants and like,
Yep.
kind of loose button down shirt?
It's like Eli's son or something.
He
out
looks
there,
like
man.
me going to work in the morning.
The khakis. The NFC West is actually a pretty good division. 49ers, as we mentioned, undefeated on top. They didn't play this week, so
It's kind of why they're still undefeated.
yeah, they played some pretty bad teams. But the Seahawks and the Rams both 3-1. Rams had a bad loss versus Tampa Bay. No one saw that game coming
No.
either. with the Buccaneers putting up 55 points, something like that, on the Rams.
Like, Jameis Winston is looking good all of a sudden. What's going on?
It's too good to be true. At some point it's going to have to drop back down.
Yeah, probably next week.
Yeah. The NFC North, the Packers and the Bears both at top at 3-1. Packers got the tiebreaker because they beat the Bears earlier, but they lost to the Eagles this week. Again, like Trev said earlier, very good division with the Lions and the Vikings both at 2 wins.
I will say I think the Vikings might be falling off. There's a lot going on down
Kirk
there.
Cousins,
Thielen's calling out his offense. Kirk Cousins looking terrible. They can't throw the ball, and like they have weapons too. They got Diggs, they got Thielen, even Cook. Like between those 3 guys, they should be
the games
looking a lot better.
The games that they've won, they've only thrown the ball like 15 times a game. So they're just basically running the ball the whole time and having their defense play well. But as teams start to stack the box against them, saying we're not going to let you run the ball, they got to be able to pass. And like you said, they have very good weapons. It's just Cousins has got to get going. And I wonder if that's contributed by the fact that he hasn't been asked to do much. So every time he's asked to do much, he's just not prepared to do it.
They have a new offensive coordinator this year, Stefanski, and I think that might be just kind of like learning pains, trying to figure it out.
It could also be too that Stefanski maybe doesn't rate Kirk Cousins enough to really trust him to throw the football downfield.
I wouldn't blame him.
$80 million guaranteed.
I mean,
most overpaid athlete of all time,
and the money from those ads, right?
Yeah, the Federal Credit Union ones. Honestly, Kirk Cousins' agent probably the most clutch person in the NFL.
Put him on those State Farm ads.
Honestly, yeah.
I would rather have him than Rodgers.
I mean, Rodgers
isn't in way too many commercials.
If I just meant as a QB, like, did you not
listen
to the last conversation?
No, just like I feel like Rodgers is like at least 1 or 2 commercials every commercial break.
Discount double check.
Oh god.
The guy with the cheese hat they used to have in there. Not anymore.
They got Baker in a couple now too, like mowing the Browns stadium.
Yeah, a man should mow his own lawn, he says.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, and then he's doing the lights in the other one.
Yeah, he's got a new one too, where he starts vacuuming the stadium.
Yeah,
it's good content right there.
NFC South is the final division. Saints on top. Bit of surprise of Bridgewater, really playing well for them.
He's got 2 victories so far.
Buccaneers and Panthers both have 2 wins. I'm kind of surprised they do because I haven't really seen them play because I don't want to. And the Falcons have 1 win, which I'm surprised with because I feel like they should be better than 1 win. But
yeah, I think it comes down to Matt Ryan. He's just not.
Did the Patriots just destroy that franchise with that comeback in the Super Bowl?
They haven't looked the same since.
They've gotten progressively worse, I think, every year, and this might be the culmination of it. Like,
maybe the team should just move, man. That loss, they're just never going to recover from it. It's a tough one for them. They're up 28-3 in the third. Oh.
I mean, they got Atlanta United in that stadium now, and they're filling it up, so it's not like they wouldn't be able to pay that off.
But Chick-fil-A, like you said, Gibbs, last week, closed on Sundays. Why is it at the stadium? For the soccer,
that might be part of it, but
you're not getting the Chick-fil-A for the game.
What's the point?
Can they at least rent it out to some other restaurant on football days?
Just all that money they're missing out on.
Yeah.
But the other issue I've had the NFL this year, guys, I don't know if you noticed this as well. I feel like they have a bit of like a watchability issue in terms of just the amount of penalties that are thrown each game. Have you guys been noticing this? It seems like now I can't celebrate a scoring play without my first instinct being, is there a flag on the play?
This is true. I mean, I think one of the times it hits the most is any time the special teams are out there.
Oh, a punt is like 75% of the time blocking the back or holding at least.
It's like, what's the point of even trying to return it if there's going to be a penalty?
Just call for a fair catch every time. And don't even block anybody because you're going to get called for a hold.
I know, and it's like, I don't understand because even as a kid, you're put on special teams and coaches make sure that you don't block someone in the back, and you get pulled off that team ASAP if you mess up.
I just think there's too many flags.
Yeah,
a lot of holding calls this year, especially on the offense.
I think that contributes to another problem I have with this, which I think the pace of play in general has been really slow. I found myself watching one of the 3:30 kickoffs last week. I forget which one, but watched the entire thing. It kicked off right at 3:30.
4:30.
Or 4:30, whatever. Game ended at
8 o'clock or something? 3.5 hours?
Yeah, and there was no overtime, not even really a controversial decision.
Well, you always get the commercial, after the extra point, then you kick it off and you go to another commercial.
Yeah, no, I hate that about the NFL.
It's got 6 minutes worth of commercial just, for 10 seconds.
Plays.
Yeah, for 2 plays.
It's like a touchback anyways.
But I know the NFL was told, or the officials were told to cut back on some of the holding penalties. I don't know if you
the
saw.
boys play.
I don't know if you saw.
Well, Brady did.
Yeah. Tom Brady tweeted that out, and ever since that, first off, what was he doing watching like Tennessee Jacksonville on a Thursday night?
He's got better things to do.
That's what I was thinking. Does he just like? I guess he loves football that much, but I wasn't even watching that game, and I had better things to do than that. But ever since that game, they've cut down the penalties. I just think, like I said, whenever I see the Lions score or a big play, my first instinct is not to celebrate. It's to say, are there any flags?
You always look for the flag whenever there's a big play. Like, that's the first thing I always do.
It's like that. Remember ESPN? I think we talked about this before, Monday Night Football, and they had that flag thing, or had the yellow first down thing or whatever.
Yeah,
that was
the first down looked like the yellow flag graphic.
Yeah. That's kind of an issue I've been having with the NFL this year for you guys. This time of year, you always see, a little change of pace here. The new sports games come out. Obviously, it's a sports-based podcast, so I think we play a few sports games, Gibbs, and I'd like to have a little debate with you today about about FIFA versus 2K. They both are coming out soon. Though FIFA came out this week. Has 2K come out yet? If it hasn't, it's coming out soon.
Yeah, 2K20 launched last month, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
Which one do you think is better, Gibbs?
I mean, where I'm going to say. Like, I've been a 2K player. I really picked up in college because I had nothing better to do. And I've played a lot recently. I can't necessarily speak on FIFA because
Well, you're a big soccer fan.
Been soccer player. I don't know about a fan of FIFA, but yeah, just like I haven't played like that so much career mode wise. But I think they've done a lot with the 2K game to make it more realistic, where you can't just drive down the court. Like, players now steal the ball and everything. And I think 2K is becoming a lot more realistic. And I was wondering, like, if FIFA...
Well, the thing about 2K...
similar features.
2K is very good to play locally, I've noticed. You can go over to a friend's house and you can get, at least two people playing in a game. They're more fast-paced, too. If the quarters, you can obviously change that. Just how popular basketball has been, I know... I have a cousin who's a couple years younger than me, and he said 2K is kind of the thing that the kids are playing these days, apparently.
I guess they're into that, yeah.
For me, I know for Trev, we started playing FIFA, I believe, in high school. You might have been in middle school. Yeah. But that was kind of the game that we kind of grew up playing, but we played a lot in high school.
So, yeah, whatever you start with, you're going to stick with it.
I wonder if it's kind of transitioned over to 2K for this, the younger kids now.
I think basketball has just kind of become, at least in terms of the NBA, a lot more mainstream.
Oh, just in terms of sports in general.
In this country, at least. Yeah,
exactly.
I still like FIFA. Go for the little ultimate team there.
Yeah, I feel like the ultimate team is like the real reason why people like get into FIFA.
Well, FIFA also I think has a better online mode than 2K. I've always struggled with any kind of 2K online.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
The thing, 2K has the potential for the online to blow FIFA out of the water. But I can't even know how many 2Ks in a row the servers have just been terrible and nothing like working as it should.
Well, it's not known for that either. Like when you think about 2K, I don't think about playing online unless I'm...
No, 100%. It's always like, hey, you want to play like a quick game? It's always something to do like really quick.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, when I play 2K2, I tend to gravitate towards their like my player story mode thing that they have, which is really well done. I love that they change the story up each year, but... One thing I've noticed is as soon as you're done with your first season, you just get nothing new on that. It's all very upfront, and then you just continue the grind, sort of.
It's a lot of content they got to put in there.
Plus, I think the modes in 2K generally are better, like overall as a package. Maybe the gameplay I would lean FIFA, although the pace of play in FIFA has really slowed down the last 4 or 5 years. They've gone for more realism over fun. I would say, which has
it's a video game, yeah. There's like a good trade-off there.
Yeah, it's nice to have the immersion, especially with like the graphics packages they've added, because obviously 2K you're just working with the NBA really, so it's easy to throw it up there. With FIFA you're working with like 19 to 20 different leagues, and they're getting more and more of them fully licensed.
So the best part about FIFA, I think, is the Ultimate Team when you're opening up a pack. You're not sure which player you're going to get, especially because there's so many soccer players in the world. In basketball, I mean, there's 12 people per team, 30 teams. There's still
You're
a lot.
only going to use like 2 or 3 of those guys on your team, too.
Exactly. Where in FIFA, there's so many different soccer players. I think it's fun to kind of watch. That's how they draw you in.
It's a good way to really like get to know the game,
Oh, get to
game,
know
I guess,
players
get to know
too.
players
And you can learn more about
from all
teams.
these different leagues.
I gotta
Exactly.
say, I hate Ultimate Team in
for
every
real?
game that it's in. Yeah.
Well, I like Ultimate Team, Gibbs.
Like, no, I always thought that feature was really cool, and like you just can't get that in the NBA because there's just not.
I
There's
mean,
not enough
yeah.
players.
2K has that mode, but the way they try and spice it up is they'll release like I don't even know how many different versions of the same player.
Like an updated card.
Yeah,
almost.
and I know FIFA does that too, but not every player gets that, and the market's much more saturated.
Well, another gaming debate we were going to have, but this game's been discontinued for a couple of years. It's a little immemorial here for the NCAA football game. So I was going to bring up Madden versus NCAA football.
Ooh, R.I.P. Man, nothing beat college football, like, or just like the video game. Just you could run all the option plays and just mess around.
You do a little recruiting.
Little mascot game too. Why not?
Oh, mascot game. That's a good one.
Create your own player in recruiting. Make them like 99 overall. Like
Play
that
all-
was the best.
You go pro after 3 years. Then you could transfer them over to Madden. You could
Yeah,
go into
you're
the
right,
draft.
your players.
Which would be fun if Madden wasn't complete garbage. I gotta say, this is NCAA all the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go NCAA. I still like Madden. I think like a lot of these games, it has gotten worse. Is that EA Sports?
Yeah,
in the game.
Madden, you can sort of tell when the drop off started too. They 2K used to actually have a football game in like the mid 2000s. I don't know if you remember ESPN
Yeah,
2K5
you're right.
Oh, man.
with Terrell Owens on the cover.
T.O.
I've never played it, but I remember seeing like pictures and
I've
stuff.
still
like
got
Popcorn
that.
ready.
I've still got that game, and like you could tell the Madden of that year too. Like you could tell they were really pushing each other. And as soon as EA bought out the exclusive license, just the quality has dipped because they're like, well, this is the only
What's the
football
point?
game,
Yeah.
so no need to put any effort in. Let's just add more to Ultimate Team.
I'm going to go NCAA football as well.
I mean, it's gonna be the unanimous decision without a doubt.
Of course, and like you said, nothing beats going into dynasty mode and recruiting, or the what do they call it, like the road to glory, where you're the created player.
Start out as a freshman. And
Quarterback or running back?
I love being a quarterback and just
of
like
course.
99 speed,
Yeah.
pretending you're going back all the way, like loop
Run
around,
around.
get up the sideline, beat him to the corner.
Even for me, it's a little different, but playing as like a defensive end,
Ooh.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like bully
Pass
rushing them
rusher.
every time.
bullying,
So much
just
fun.
bad line.
It's like all I did from like basically elementary school to like the beginning of high school, just messing around on Madden.
You could play the
or
high school games
college.
before, too.
Yeah, no, you could.
You had to get scouted.
Throwback.
not only could you do that, but remember the team builder feature?
Yeah, I imported Adams High School into
Yeah,
it.
you could import like any high school you want and get like authentic uniforms.
So I was wearing the brown and gold.
Yeah.
There you go, representing Tony Petrito there.
Oh, man. Well, talking about NCAA football here. Should we end the week for a little Michigan State, Michigan coverage? Talk about the
I
next
guess
couple
I
games.
guess we're gonna have to, right?
There's not much to say about either.
They both
one.
won.
I mean,
did.
Michigan, you played like an elementary school team.
Oh.
Like, I mean,
They did beat them 52 to 0.
you did, but it's
Rutgers.
It's Rutgers. It doesn't say anything about your team.
I
so-
think that's just a great analysis for the game
Yeah.
in general. It's Rutgers,
yeah.
and I think they move on to Iowa this
That should
week.
be a good game. I was number
I
14,
think
so
Iowa. I don't think they really played anyone.
they
one
never
yet.
do.
They didn't play anyone, and Michigan basically had a bye week this week. So
Michigan, I think they're at home. They should win that game. The other game, though, the bigger one's probably Michigan State. Is it at Ohio State this week?
yeah.
Are you really gonna call that a bigger game? They
I mean, we got to celebrate getting the old brass spittoon back.
we barely got that back.
Yeah.
Indiana put up. I think the final score was 40-31.
Yeah,
They
that
put up-
was flattering too. That last second,
We got 6 extra points
fumble.
at the end.
Yeah. It was-
It won by 9.
There it is. It looks a little bit cleaner, but
Honestly, when that happened, for some reason, I thought the cover on that game was 7, and that would have been like the
Devastating.
all-time bad
Yeah.
beat. I know Nathan Stadwick. I think he listens to this. He probably had money on that game. If that was the line.
He had money on the Lions preseason game, so
you gotta find some way to watch, right?
oh yeah, make your
Something
money the
to
way you
cheer
can.
for.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
boys, I wanted to ask you a question, and I was thinking about going up to Columbus, or I guess going down to Columbus this week to maybe catch that game. And I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it or not. I just wanted. Like,
I would say
your
it's a really
2
cool
cents.
campus, so you could check that out.
I'm just nervous about losing this game like 60-0.
I would go. We have a
Have
good
some fun.
defense. We won't lose
Yeah.
60-0.
I don't think we'll.
Like-
Yeah, we're not going to give up 60 points, but I don't see us putting up any points on Ohio State.
I think the spread's 20.
Yeah, so
It's probably about right.
I'm guessing we'll probably lose by that amount, but you never know. It's a Big Ten game. Anything can happen. And what if the weather is bad or something? Maybe it's raining.
You gotta hope for some bad weather.
That's our only chance. We need the blizzard like we had the year we went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I will say like the last time I went to down to Columbus to watch the Michigan State OSU game, that's the game we won on that Geiger windmill kick.
The classics.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Well,
we're gonna need something like that again, or else it's probably gonna be like 35-10 Buckeyes, I would guess.
My last question for you guys is I've seen this a couple times this year in college football, actually in the NFL as well, where a team is kind of the underdog, and they score at the end of the game, and it's a 1-point game. They decide to go for 2 instead of kicking the extra point. They go for the win. And I know North Carolina did this versus Clemson this week. Do you guys like that? Especially as the underdog, do you like that?
As the underdog, you have to do that.
I agree.
Yeah, if you have nothing else,
You have all the momentum.
if you have nothing else to really play for, like North Carolina, they might get into like a lower bowl game this year. Why not go for the win?
This is their national championship game right there
Yeah,
versus Clemson.
exactly.
So,
No, I love it.
no, I wish more coaches would do that actually.
Yeah,
Just
might
go
as
for
well.
2 every time and never
Yeah.
punt.
You got a chance for the win, then not give the ball back there. Give the ball back for like 30 seconds or whatever. You got to go for the win. You got to go for that lead there. So I know it's a bit of a discussion about that past couple weeks, but I like it.
I totally forgot about that Clemson UNC game. That was a good game.
Clemson does not look good, but at the end of the year they'll be in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
as long as they got the win, they'll end up being there. Well, the last thing I just want to tease for the next week here comes out tonight is this Diego Maradona special coming out on HBO. Do you know who that is, Gibbs?
Yeah, he's one of the most legendary soccer players of all time.
Well, it looks very interesting. So it's on tonight. We're going to talk about it next week here.
And that's on HBO, right?
Yep, and it's kind of just, his kind of a substance abuse. It's a very interesting player. I know, Trev, you're a bigger soccer fan as well.
Yeah, this is easily the best player of the 1980s, I want to say, and it's a guy that many people in Argentina, which is obviously his home country, they regard him as better than Messi currently within that country because he did more for the national team. But very interesting guy, very interesting lifestyle.
Well, he never practiced, apparently. He was never really in great shape, if you look at him. I think he was only like 5'5".
natural.
It was just, his natural talent of how
crazy.
good he was. So we'll talk about that a little bit next week as well, a little soccer coverage for you guys. So I just wanted to tease that in there so you know what we were talking about.
That dude got a beer gut like within, I want to say 2 to 3 months of retiring. Like he clearly just stopped exercising when he decided to call it quits. And
Good for him.
But when he was playing, he was amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that's all we got for you guys this week.
Yeah, it's a good week, and looking forward to week 5 of the NFL, and
Lions bye.
probably for the best.
Hey, we're,
Get the boys healed up.
Can't lose.
we're 1 week closer to basketball and hockey season too.
That's true.
Yeah, it's only NCAA is only 5 weeks away. NCAA basketball.
It's true.
Looking
Sports are
forward to
starting
it.
up. Baseball playoffs.
Yeah, but
Thank God this Tigers season is over. My God.
first pick in
Yeah.
the draft.
Spencer Torkelman probably,
Look at
Yeah,
that.
I couldn't even tell you.
He broke Barry Bonds' home run record at Arizona State.
Wow.
So he probably did it steroid free too.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him play in like 5 years when he finally makes the major league roster.
Of
Yep.
course.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya.
Have a good week.